There we are. Hello. Yeah, we should be live. Welcome to the Lovespoon Workshop. I just had to run next door 2 minutes, but we're back now. So, in this live stream, what we're going to do, we're going to show you. There we are. Do you want to take that through so we can keep an eye on the sound? Yeah. What we're going to do, we're going to show you how we carve an eagle. So you can see we've got that in the vise. Some of the things then before we get started, the wood that we've used to carve this one from is a piece of oak. So as you can see, you'll see different versions then of carving. You've got sculptures, that sort of thing. The way we then tend to carve, you can see we cut an outline. So we do a combination. We use the scroll saw to cut a basic outline, and then we do the hand carving. To mark it all out then, you can see that we've used the paper. Thomas the Woodcarver is with us, so hello Thomas the Woodcarver.
Evening all.
So what we're going to do, we're going to get straight into it, and we're going to start carving. So the first thing I'm going to start off is to mark the top of the head of the eagle. So I'm just going to talk you through the process. And for anyone wondering, as you may imagine from the name, from the workshop name, that sort of thing, we make love spoons, that's what we do. So what we do, we start off marking our stop cuts, your sort of outline of what you're going to carve. There you go, you can see us just working on that just like so. And then afterwards, we will use those stop cuts, we will use those as barriers to work into. And this then is just a process of bringing certain things out and pushing other things back. So it's just, having an idea for what parts of the carving you're going to try and bring out, and what bits then you're going to sort of push into the background. As a general rule, what I tend to do with animal figures, pretty much animals and birds and that sort of thing, I tend to bring the head out. That's the sort of thing that I sort of tend to look at. So in this example, this wing, for instance, you're thinking of that eagle, how they spread the wing out. So this back wing, that's got to be pushed back. So that's what I'm starting to do there, is to just start push that back, because that's going to be in the background.
It's always difficult now, because first thing that happens here now, you lose your pencil.
Yeah, we do.
Lines.
So that's the first thing, those pencil lines are gone. So whilst they're useful, very useful for us when we're scroll sawing, that sort of thing, they're not much use to us now, because we got rid of them.
I used to have another drawing alongside.
Yeah.
So that I could refer to that drawing.
Here's one we prepared earlier. So
it's ideal, so you've got that to...
We can refer to it. So useful idea for anybody else. Very good idea. Anybody else who's interested in having a go at doing this, perhaps, if you take it from an image, photocopy your image and put it alongside as you're carving.
And actually you're being very bold there with that, because I was cutting that out this afternoon on the scroll saw, and thinking, I hope Dave is going to be nice and gentle with this, because the tips of the feathers of the wings are quite delicate.
Yeah.
So you need a really sharp chisel.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, or gouge in this case, and just obviously take your time.
Yeah, it's, basically, the main thing, the reason I can be a little bit more bold there, it's because it's the direction of the grain. So we got that vertical grain. So
I was going to say, that's an important thing to mention.
We've got that extra strength.
You're working with the grain.
If I was working across the grain, I would be going at it a lot more cautiously, a lot more steadily, a lot more slowly. But because I know that I'm working with the grain, you've got that extra strength. So that's why I was approaching it like that. If it had gone wrong, everyone would have seen a wood carving demonstration what happens when it goes wrong.
And the other thing, of course, you're sitting down to carve.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, it's ideal because you're using the camera as well, so it's ideal. If I was doing that, I'd have to be standing up.
Yeah.
And I would be moving. I would be moving it back and forth. I would be
and the other thing
it
as
around
well,
in the vise.
Because I sit down to carve, the other thing as well, the one advantage is that there are a few advantages of sitting down to carve. One of the main ones is that I'm actually closer to what I'm carving. So I can see it nicely. So because I'm closer, you're getting a good idea of how to do it. So as you can see, what we're doing, we're just building up those stop cuts to use then later on as barriers. I'm sort of working out. And the reason I'm doing the feet, be interested. Any thoughts? Put it in the comments. Why have I gone on to doing the feet next? There's an error message come up there. I've had that message come up before, and most of the time I think it carries on. So unless we get told...
Shall I go ask
there's a problem? Yeah, if you go and check with them, we got next door checking them.
Before you go any further, though, I've spotted something.
Yeah.
Could you just mention why you're taking that one claw deeper, I presume?
Yeah. So basically, that's what we're doing. So to talk you through it, that is, as far as we're concerned, that is like your back. That's the back claw. That's the, you've got the legs of that eagle sort of swooping down. So you're pushing that is going to be pushed much further down. And if you notice, when I was doing that back wing, I could go at this much more, with a lot more confidence and sort of go for it much more. As with this here, because it's very delicate, especially those claws, on the end of the foot there, because they're delicate, we've got to go very steadily, very steadily. We don't want to go sort of rushing it and forcing it, and then actually breaking the foot, because then we've got a real problem to deal with. So
any chisels need sharpening, or you're okay?
No, I think we're okay for the gouges. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think this week they will be due for a bit of sharpening. Yeah. Now again, this little piece here, we're gonna push that bit back, because again, that's part of that back leg. So going back to what I said at the start, we've got those bits that you've got at the front, and then you've got those other bits then that that are sort of at the back. So this is the back leg, so that will be pushed back, as this front leg, we'll keep that more sort of raised.
You've explained what wood you're using.
Yeah, we're using a bit of oak, a bit of recycled timber. It's interesting because as I'm doing this reminds me of just up the road from us, there's a small little church, and it reminds me, there's a beautiful carving. You'll see a lot in the churches, some beautiful carvings that have been done, and there's a beautiful carving of an eagle, and it's an impressive piece of work, isn't it?
It is. In fact, now you've mentioned it, every time I go there, there's a claw missing.
Right. So it needs a bit of a repair job.
I'm always going to put that claw back.
And that's what you find today. Nowadays there's not as many people doing wood carving. There used to be more people in and around the sort of smaller communities. Not here anyway. In other parts of the world, if you're in the US and places like that, I think there's a lot of interest in wood carving, but we don't see as many wood carvers around, do we? So yeah, you can see I'm still just working on getting that back leg, getting that depth of the back leg, pushing that back, because it needs to come right completely out of the way. So I think that's okay now for depth on that back leg.
Yeah, you could push the spoon further in so that you're almost.
Oh, we're a bit far. Let's have a look. Yeah, we get it just in by there. Yeah, what Dad is referring to there, it was just a little bit far back in the vise, so maybe it's more difficult to see. So now we've done that back leg, we're going to start working more on this front leg, and we're also
There we are.
We're going to start working.
Now, you see?
Yeah, we're going to work on the tail. That's
on the
great.
centre there, right?
So what we're going to do, we're going to create that effect then of some feathers using this tiny little, almost like a micro gouge. So we'll use that one just to get that shape.
If you show it to the camera, Dave, the actual...
teeny tiny one. So we're going to use that one there, and then at the back here, we're going to work into...
Sorry to interrupt again, Dave, but back on that chisel, it's very similar to a spoke on like an old-fashioned umbrella.
Yeah.
And I can remember they used to use...
They used to do that, didn't they? They used to make the tools.
So it's very similar.
So if they were working when you were in your younger years, when you were working on site and things, they used to actually do that, didn't they? They'd make a gouge or a tool for a job. They'd make it from things like an umbrella spoke. But yeah, that one is a really useful little gouge because it's so small. It's basically a micro gouge. That one there, it's quite useful. So you can see what I've done. I've just pushed that one back. We push that right back like so, and there's just a few little bits. I may have to work on my stop cuts a little bit more just so I can get those last little bits of wood away. One of the things with wood carving, if you've got little bits that won't come away in by the stop cuts, make the stop cuts deeper. Don't try and sort of flick them out because you'll end up damaging what you're actually carving. There we are. So we've just made them a bit deeper. I may even as well, I might have to change and just use a little spike type gouge, but I think that's done the job. So a little bit more shape in there. And again, we're going to just come up this line here because we're then going to shape a little bit of the body, because I just think that body, we just push that back a little bit, because this front wing, my sort of thoughts on it, that front wing is going to be in front. It's going to be in front of the body slightly.
Could you also explain, Dave, you've got it in a vise which is set up for you purposely, and also you've got a block underneath to support it.
Yes, that's right. So we've got a block, and that block then, we can move that back and forth. Now, just in case any of you have been around since the start, just so you can see something almost finished off. Perhaps I can try this one. I'm just going to finish off this tail, because so far all you've seen us doing is a lot of preparation. But this is the nature of the carving. You've got to get all of that preparation done, and it's in the latter stages then that it sort of tends to come together more. So those are sort of the lines we're marking out then for our tail feathers.
I'm going to get the shellac as well.
Yeah, Dad's going for some shellac, because that's always a good way then of actually seeing the carving, because it brings out the character and the colour in the wood. There we are. So one more cut just in there. As you can see, I use that stop cut, but what I also do when I do these feathers, we use the reverse angle of the gouge to cut in like so. So we use that reverse angle, and then that basically that gives us a bit more shape for creating that effect of the feathers. Just in like so. So as you can see, so far what we've done, we've shaped the back wing, we've worked on those legs, and now we are working on our tail. You also, from the drawing, you can see there's a lot of detail.
Tell you what, Dave,
on this wing.
You probably won't let me do this now, but
no, I'm not gonna.
If you put a little bit of shellac on that tail, it'll actually highlight it for anybody watching.
Yeah, I know. We won't do that because I'm gonna sort that out. So yeah, we'll concentrate on the carving. There we are. We're just going to bring the detail out there.
He never listened to me. He never listens to me.
There we are.
Nothing new. Nothing new.
So we're just getting some of the details. And this one, it's a good carving for us to do, because we do a lot on our channel where we demonstrate sort of basic things. For anybody looking for a bit more of a challenge, I think this is a really good one for you, because it's not as straightforward as a lot of some of the projects that we do. The reason we've started doing this one, we had a request for a bespoke love spoon to incorporate it, but we also know then with our family workshop and with the work we do, there's a lot of interest from the US, and of course the eagle is an important symbol. So that is why we have chosen to use it. So, because we've turned it round in the vise, and I'm just checking, does it need to come a bit further forward?
You're right at the limit now.
Yeah, we've come a bit further forward. What it is, the camera's quite zoomed in, so you can see a bit more of what we're doing. We just finish off the bottom now of the feet. So we've done those feet carving in the one direction, but you also need to carve them the other way. If you then stand to carve, as Dad mentioned, you can just go around the other side. You can just go around the other side of your carving, as opposed to turning it round in the vise. But because I sit to carve, we have to turn it round in the vise to carry on working. There we are. Anybody as well having a go at this? I'm sort of demonstrating doing it fairly quickly. I would suggest a job like this one, you really want to be taking your time. So this sort of circumstance is not ideal, but it's to give you an idea of the process of how you go about carving an eagle. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go around the outside of this one here. So the outside feathers on that wing, that front wing. And again, we're going to be losing our detail. We're trying to create that effect. It's almost trying to create a three-dimensional look, but you're only working in
at that
two
point
dimensions.
There as well, Dave. Now, you're taking the pencil lines away.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, that's all very well, but it's a bit of a dilemma, really, because I personally I might have carved a line just showing me where the tip of the feathers were.
Yeah.
I think you're going to do that.
Yeah.
In another way.
I'm doing exactly that. What I'm doing, I'm carving away what I can, but I'm leaving the ends of the where the feathers are. I'm actually leaving them there. So we're just leaving just the back end of the feather, so I can still see it. What it is, what Dad is looking at, is that I basically carved away these lines here. I have and I haven't, because I can see this is, for instance, this is the end of the feather, and I can see that it joins to, for instance, there. So I know where the line starts. It starts there and it finishes there.
It's worth mentioning as well,
again,
the actual chisel that you're using, the gouge that you're using.
Yes, it's a Herring Brothers. I do believe, I'll double check it. It's a number 3.
Yeah.
And it's a vintage gouge. We get asked a lot about tools, and they do make a big difference. Sharpening tools, keeping tools sharp, and having good quality tools is important. So, you know, if you're looking for areas for improving your wood carving, tools and sharpening, it is certainly an area that you can consider in regards to sort of making improvements and sort of developing. So what we've done, we've carved a bit of depth on this wing, and as Dad was mentioning, we've put all of the lines then, all of those feathers, we put all of them sort of back in. But again, you can improvise a little bit, because I've done this a few times, and I actually think in some ways it'd be nicer if instead of doing 3 lines of feathers, I actually do this one sort of higher, further up. So I think the middle line of feathers, we may even actually lose them, because I don't actually think they're giving us anything extra in terms of the carving.
I see what you mean.
But again, that's
the other
subjective.
thing as well. Back to the chisel.
Yeah.
You know, you often have to sort of what you have done. You've done this eagle now quite a number of times.
I have, yes.
And you've found now that particular chisel
does the job.
The number 3, it fits just that gentle curve of the feathers.
Yeah.
So again, excuse me. You know, you can when you do your carving of whatever you decide to do, whether it's an eagle, a robin, or whatever it is, you know, you can find the chisels then, the gouges that make that particular carving. Yeah. So you can keep that then.
Another thing worth considering as well, if you're doing a carving, as Dad mentioned, this is about the third eagle that I've done in recent weeks. And what happens, the first one, you may do things and think, that's not quite as I want it. That's not quite as, what I was hoping for. And then when you do the next one, you experiment and think, is that better? Is it not better? And again, maybe on the third one, what I'm getting at basically, especially when you're learning carving, don't expect to sort of get it perfect the first time. Have a few goes at it, and then you'll probably find a technique and a style that was better than the first sort of attempt that you had. So you can just see we're just working on all of those feathers.
Can I also suggest another another point?
Yeah.
I've got a tape.
Right.
And it would be interesting to put the tape for people to see what size space you are actually working on.
Yeah. Because of course that is going to be magnified because of the camera.
So
if you put the tape across,
that goes across.
See.
So you've got.
It's basically 2.5 inches, I would say.
It's 3.5. Oh, well,
no,
the overall
2.5 inches wide. The actual eagle itself.
Yeah, the spoon itself is 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters, and the space then you've got inside, as you say, it's about 2.5 down to so centimeters, just over 6. So it gives you some idea, of the size that you're working on.
But the interesting, it's quite a small space, and in many ways, the smaller the carving you do, like we get asked, because we're doing the Lovespoons, people ask us, if you do it smaller, is it, can we have the spoon a bit cheaper? Well, whilst we may save a little bit on a smaller piece of wood, that's basically negligible because we recycle and reclaim a lot of wood. The carving is made more difficult. The more intricate, the more delicate it becomes, the more difficult the carving job is for us. Just refocusing the camera there 2 seconds. So if you're doing it, there's a sort of optimum size. This is quite small and delicate, but what it also creates then, if it is small and delicate, it creates an effect of it being very intricate. Now there, we've just lost a little bit off that particular feather, but that's nothing to worry about because we can sort that out afterwards.
Well, that's interesting again, because that's telling me that my gouge may want a little bit of a honing.
Yeah, I think possibly. I think they are getting there or thereabouts for a bit of a sharpening session.
So the first opportunity
the truth of it is, because I'm doing this on a live stream.
There we are.
I think I'm sort of having to go at it a bit faster than I normally would to try and sort of.
I hope you don't want this one for a couple of seconds, Dave, because I'm giving it.
I did need it for this, but I'm going to use a different gouge.
I'm just going to give it a little bit of a honing.
What I will do.
Can I push this in just in the camera?
There we are. You'll see this is Dad sharpening on the job
sharpening with a hone. Okay.
Now, for those of you who are watching as well, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments or anything, put them in the comments section, and because we're always keen to help you with any carving. if you're working on any projects, if you're having any difficulties at the moment, if you want to know, anything else about how to go about carving things like birds and animals, let us know. We'd be delighted to help out.
I'll tell you what, now, if you want to just rub your finger down there, you can actually feel the burr.
Right, I thought you were going to be ready for me to use it, but he's not. So what we're going to do, whilst he's sorting out that gouge there, I'm just going to come back now to the head and work on the body a little bit. We're just going to work into where there's the sort of feathers of the neck. There's a little bit that we're just going to take away, a little bit of wood into those stop cuts.
Gouge ready.
Gouge is ready, brilliant. That's what we need. So you can just see, we're just going to take away that wood that we don't want, just behind the neck of the eagle, we'll call that one. And it's it's a delicate job. We're very lucky. We've got some really nice, delicate vintage gouges, and they do a very nice job for us. The nice part as well of this process is if you have drawn your carving onto the wood, the more carving you do, the more you're sort of revealing the wood that sort of comes through. You see that beautiful grain of the oak itself. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's better. It's always something with a gouge. You're always thinking, oh no, it doesn't need sharpening, I'll carry on. And then when it's sharpened, you think, oh yeah, that's a big difference. Right, I'm going to have to use this little one again because I'm going to have to make those stop cuts a little bit deeper. I'm going to ask Dad as well, what do you reckon? Shall I leave the head and the face until last, or shall I show people that next?
I would
leave it until last.
I would leave it till last.
Yeah,
yes,
we save that bit so you'll see then.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have to wait until the end of the live stream to really get a clear idea of what the finished carving is going to look like. Nice process though, lovely material to work in. If anyone's sort of thinking of having a go at wood carving, it's a lovely, enjoyable process, and there's so many things that you can make. There's so many things that you can do, and you can really sort of get lost in the entire process.
Well, you can. You're using oak, right?
Yeah.
This afternoon, I walked around the fields at the bottom here, and there were 3 beautiful oak trees. And that's what happens when you're carving. You start thinking about.
It certainly opens you up in terms of getting to know, improving your knowledge, then appreciating nature as well. So we, for instance, have been very involved in adding sort of trees to our tree planting project. You'd certainly take an interest in these sorts of things.
Well, down the fields, we it was great because we had oak saplings. They were about 5 years old, and then we had these other 3 majestic oaks. I think they were around about 70 to 80 years old, and the leaves now, of course, are beginning to change because it's coming into the autumn, and so the colours then are changing. The leaves are changing their colours, and that's what happens when you're working with a material like this. It's a live material, and you start thinking about where the timber came from, where it was growing, and all that kind of thing. And in fact, I mean, we are planting now for the next generation, hopefully. It's lovely material.
We might have a little problem there. That one's just doing a bit of a creak. So that doesn't look too good, but there we might have to do something with that.
Ah, yes, I can see that. Yeah.
We've lost a feather there.
Nature, Dave. Quite often the birds.
And we've moved the tripod. We've moved the tripod as well. So things are going wrong. But how are we gonna deal with it? Well, the point is you've got to find a solution. So if things go wrong, whilst our camera, that has just been knocked, I'm going to try and get that back round so you can see a bit better. Yeah, back to it. We got a problem. We've lost a little bit of our feather. So that we're going to have to now sort out. So all that's happened, where it's basically, I actually probably tried to go a bit deeper on that than I should have. And I tell you why. I actually thought that feather was attached to the surround, because if it's attached to the surround, it gives it a bit of extra strength. But I've learned the hard way that it's not actually attached.
And
to
also, it's what are we dealing with? It's not. we don't have to phone Houston or something like that. We're not halfway around the moon, and something goes wrong. It's a wood carving, you know. So there's no real pressure on us. No pressure on me because I'm just watching him.
Yeah, there's no pressure. We're doing a live demonstration. That's the only pressure that we got on us. But yeah, we can enjoy it. So
exactly.
That's why we do it. That's why we're showing you how to do it, is because we're sharing it.
And all that's going to happen though is that you're going to go slightly deeper.
That's right. So that's the solution. So where that initially I thought we had a real problem, where it creaked in a way that I thought, has that gone right the way through? But it hasn't.
That reminds me as well of the carvings by Grinling Gibbons.
Yeah.
I think a 16th century wood
very
carver.
famous,
fantastic
carver here in the UK.
His work is in what's the palace at up the M4, Dave?
Ali Pali.
No. What's
That's where they play the darts.
Where the
is it Bledin Palace or St James?
You got me now. I got to ask Mum. Mum, wherefore art thou? Oh dear me.
I'm trying to think of palaces. You'll have to help us out. Anybody in the comments know what palace he's thinking of? Oh, there we are. Windsor Castle.
There we are.
Windsor Castle.
Run to the rescue. Windsor Castle. A lot of Grinling Gibbons carvings.
He was a medieval carver, and he did a lot of beautiful carvings, and in basswood, and
but it's
very
often,
impressive.
When we make a mistake, I think about him because he used to carve a lot of oak leaves and acorns.
Yeah.
And occasionally you'd see some of the, you'd have an oak leaf and then perhaps one or two or three even acorns, but one of the acorns would be missing. It would just be an empty cup. And I always wondered whether perhaps something had gone awry, and so
I would say that it was probably deliberate, because of course Grinling Gibbons, one thing they don't tell you too often is that he used to stick bits together. So if he wanted there to be one, he could have stuck one in there, because that's the one thing we're doing Lovespoons, and one of the customs we sort of stick to, which makes it harder for ourselves in a way, is we only carve from one single solid block of wood.
But it just shows how you can adapt. You can.
But I mean, now that little mistake, if you want to call it that, the only sort of real consequence of it is that I'm going to now carve a little bit deeper.
Exactly. So there's a bit more depth to the carving.
So there's going to be a bit more depth and a bit more detail. I'm going to turn it round again in the vise. I'm going to try not to hit the tripod over this time. Yeah, so this one here, I think we need to just bring that one down a bit more. So what I'm doing, where that feather next to it, where that just broke a little bit, I'm going to carve these ones now down a little bit deeper just to match it. And while we're doing that, we'll just sort of try and sort all of these ones out. It's one of those things where we have sort of different ideas and we think of different things that we can do for our live streams. I think this is one of the more complicated carvings, one of the more complicated demonstrations that we've done for you. But hopefully, the reason we do it is hopefully it sort of inspires others to have a go. And if it's something you're interested in, then you've seen how somebody else does it.
At the end of the day, what we're looking for here is an impression of the eagle in a sort of a 3-inch by 3-inch space.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as we got the impression of what we're, you know, with Lovespoons, it's very much the message that we're portraying.
Right, now, I'm just going to do a little bit of work there. I'm not going to take too much off the head. I'll tell you what it is, because I'm thinking to avoid having to turn it round in the vise again. Put that little detail for the beak, just like so. So just doing some of the stop cuts ready there. There we are. So we're just giving that depth, just like so. So that's the bottom of the head there. And another thing I'm going to do is, so everybody going to be able to see it better. Hopefully you can all see it okay, but this is how it will be finished. I will just take the surround down a little bit. Sometimes that can help as well. If you're carving something like this, sometimes the surround can actually get in your way, can actually block you from getting into the carving properly. Just see, can we take that down a little bit with this one even?
Will you be finishing this week and show everybody how the spoon will be finished?
Well, the plan with this is a sort of, we've been having quite a bit of interest on the website with what we've named Collector's Corner. So what we've actually done is we've done some spoons that are a bit more special, a bit more one-off, and we put them on the website. So the plan is to carve this. So for anybody who wants to see the finished Lovespoon, it's a Lovespoon with an American Welsh theme to it, because we're gonna have the dragon, the full pen dragon, the Welsh dragon, below a heart with that eagle then at the top. So it's it's very much a carving inspired by an American sort of Welsh theme.
And there's a message in the wood that you're using as well,
right?
It's
of course, yeah, of course.
So
what
we say about oak,
it's golden, so it's very appropriate for the
golden
eagle.
oak, ideal for a golden wedding, but it's also
the golden eagle, isn't it? Have you thought of something else?
Like the oak tree, you hope that love will continue to grow strong. So, you know, often we carve the acorn with that message.
Well, I was thinking of the, look at that, it's interesting that, you know, the growth, that's a nice story and a message behind it then. But I was thinking, the golden eagle.
Oh, of course.
That's what was in my head. It's amazing, isn't it, how, you know, this is what happens. This is how stories develop.
Yeah.
Coming up as well, we always give you little updates what we're doing on the channel. We mentioned it a few times. We finally finished our video. That'll be on there soon with the scroll sawing. So any of you interested in the scroll sawing, that'll be up soon. That's how we do the basic outline. See, we use a scroll saw. We've also we've started work. We've got a couple of big projects on. We've done another Lovespoon here, which is now the longest Lovespoon in the world, but it's the Eternal Lovespoon. So that's going to be an ongoing project. Is carving.
Well, it's behind us at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just behind us. It's made again. We're using a similar method to what we've used before, where we've used a number of links. So yeah, those are some of the projects that we're going to have sort of coming up. Tell you what I'm going to do here now as well. I don't know whether... Should we do another line? Do you think we do another line?
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Right,
yeah.
okay,
Sorry
so I'll put that back.
But,
that's what he wants. He wants another line of feathers. So the way I'm going to mark those out, I'm going to use that little micro gouge. No, I might do it a different way. This is what happens. We're doing it live, and as you start doing it one way, you think... No,
yeah, I think the lines will be fine.
I will do it, instead of using the micro gouge, I think we will use this one to allow them, might be better to go the other way. This is what happens, see, I'm actually, as I'm doing it, see, there's not with wood carving, it's not really an exact sort of science. You almost have an argument with yourself about the method that you're going to use to carve them out. I'm using as well 2 different gouges. You're looking for what's sort of the best methods for getting the job done. But it's that word, isn't it? It's doubt. You're never 100%. And so you try different methods, different approaches to how to do it, and you hope that it comes out okay. I was looking to make it a little bit easier, possibly without the extra line of feathers, but I will take Dad's input on board and try and carve them out. But again, if you're not happy, if you try a certain method and you're not happy with it, then just adapt it.
There are no
carve
rules
it deeper.
or regulations.
That's right.
The nice thing about Lovespoon carving,
Very few
beauty is in the eye of the
regulations.
beholder.
Now I'm hoping, if I refocus that camera, I'm hoping that that will stay on what we're doing. There we go. Now I can see again, there's a little bit just flaking away there. Nothing too much to worry about though. And we're just going to come into there.
Well, that tells me that chisel is only a little one, but it could do with a little hone in.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I'm not going to give it to you because you'll disappear with it, and then I need it for the carving. Let's have a look. Yeah. So we're just going to be... A lot of this now, we're going to get rid of all of the paper. And we're going to see that detail. So you can see it's a series of stop cuts, cutting down into the woods. And then afterwards, using that stop cut as a barrier. That is the main principle that we apply to wood carving. Carve a stop cut and then use that stop cut as a barrier. There we are. And all of this then, we've got our sort of basic outline shape of the eagle, but we're looking for that, we're looking now for more, just to add a little bit of extra detail to the carving. It's going to look, so we're going to, he's grabbed the gouge that I was needing again there, so we're going to have to change it over.
Here it is, it's ready, it's ready.
There we are. So I'm just coming across the top of the head of the eagle like so. We're going to, whilst he's doing that, we're going to...
Oh, that's beautiful now.
We're going to work on some of the other...
Here we are.
Feathers. And basically what you've also got then, you've got layers. We've sort of turned the carving now. We've created layers with it. So you've got this back wing that's pushed back. You've got the head more sort of in the foreground, that front wing in the foreground, the back leg pushed back. It's sort of creating layers, then giving the depth to your carving, creating more of a three-dimensional image. And there we are. So you can see a few more just in like so. There we go. Have you got that gouge?
Yeah, the two of them are there, look. Okay.
Brilliant. I can start on that side as well. So again, those stop cuts, using them as a barrier, carve into that edge all the time, trying to give it a bit of extra detail and trying to, it's very much the sort of finishing of the project. There we are. Now I've got to go back the other way on those ones there. I think, let's have a little look. Yeah, this now.
The other one is there, no, Dave?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's there, look.
We got, yeah, that's fine. We're just going to finish off, because what I'm hoping, see, is to speed things up. I'm going to do the detail on the eagle. Whoop, just slipped a little bit. Just like so. I'm going to try and avoid having to turn it in the vise and then turn it back again. That's what I'm trying to avoid doing, basically. There we are. That's in like so. there. You got one in like that, and then yeah. We haven't had your song for the week.
Well, Mum is listening next door, so I got to behave myself.
Do you know any by the Eagles? Was it the Eagles?
Oh yeah.
You'll have to get it in the comments section. A
Mum
song
would
by the
know.
Eagles.
By the Eagles, yeah.
There we are. Right. Now to finish it off, one thing as well. I'll put that across to Dad. I need a sharp spike because it's something that disappears off our bench all the time. I need a sharp spike that hasn't got a little dent in it. There we are. So you can see we're just working on the eagle's eye.
Where does that spike always disappear?
I have no idea. And then a little bit of carving on the edge, carving the other way on the feathers. Just like so. I changed gouges because the long one, it can't quite get in there to cut that bit out. There we are. A little bit in there.
Is that spiky enough for the eye?
Yeah, that's fine. There we are. We're just finishing off these feathers. And the carving then, see, as you may notice, it's a time-consuming process. But it's a lovely process and it's a lovely skill to sort of develop.
There are two spikes there now, but I think the one I just sharpened is okay.
There we are. Right. Now I'm hoping that this will be the last time that I turn it round.
This could be the last time. This could be the last time.
Oh no, I've just spotted something. I've just spotted something that I've spotted something that I've got to do. Going the other way. Here we are. Have you got any advice, any sort of hints, any ideas that might help anybody interested in having a go at doing this?
Well, different people have different styles and different things. You know, some people. I mean, I must admit, I find carving birds and animals. To actually carve them in the solid, I always admire the people who carve. You know,
you're thinking more sculpture carving.
Yeah, you know, it's you know, ours are just sort of
it's an impression.
Low relief carvings.
That's right.
With the message that we put in the spoon, sort of in a sense camouflages our inadequate carving. Then, you know.
Well, thank you for your kind words.
Well, the thing is, you never put yourself, you know. We're very fortunate to be able to make and sell what we actually do. It's you know, but you know, humility is the an important ingredient with us, I think. You know, it's we're very fortunate to be able to work and make a living from it.
Right, so what we just finish off is we're going to take all of that, just those little last bits of paper that are left over, and I'm going to turn it round then so I can have a good look at it myself and decide what we need to do from here. So again, we're just adding to the depth, just going over those just to tidy them up a little bit. I just think they need a little bit of tidy in this line of feathers. I'm still not convinced.
How's that go, Joe?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad at all. So we're just gonna work into the edges on those feathers there, getting rid of all the last little bits of paper that's left over. And we're nearly
ready for the shellac.
To shellac. Unless, when we turn it round, we might decide that we've got something else to actually work on. Right, yeah, there's a few things.
Yeah, there are a few little things.
So,
and the fact is, just because we're shellacking it doesn't mean to say that it's finished. You know, we can still go back on it and soften it in places, take a little bit. Do you know what I used to do as well, carving something like this? I sometimes used to turn it over and take some of the back away, so that, you know, you get more.
What you're doing, I suppose, you're creating more of the shape.
Yeah.
You're getting more of the shape of the bird itself then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how that might help as well. Have you got tell you what we do? We will just run over it with a little bit of sandpaper.
Fine paper.
Yeah.
There is a little bit for there. It's a 180. Is that okay?
Should be fine.
See that one on the bench there?
It's just on the body. Right? Yeah, that should be fine. It's just on the body, just to shape it a little bit. So we've done that there. I'm just looking now where I want to improve things a little bit. This isn't too bad, but just want to get rid of some of that there. Just tidying up where there's paper left. I'm going to shape the head a little bit more, just so it's not sort of standing out.
You don't want it too flat, see, do you?
That's right.
So I think what we may do later on is drop.
No, I don't think we need to
drop that feather a bit more.
I think
so that the head might stand out a bit.
There we are. So we've got that. We're just going to come in around there where that back wing just sort of disappears behind the head itself.
You can always turn it into a vulture.
Let's have a little look how we're getting on there. A little bit of shape in there. I just want to bring up some of these feathers. Just bring them a little bit further.
Aren't you lucky having your father making rude comments, though?
Yeah, it's just wonderful that, wasn't it, you're supposed to have sort of, the hecklers are supposed to be in the audience, but I get doing a live stream, I actually have the privilege of a live heckler telling me that, you know, the beauty of what we do is that it's not very good.
And it looks more like a vulture than an eagle.
It's good. It's good. So you can.
It's encouraging. You know.
I think the expression. I think there's plenty. I think you can understand why I always, you know, as anybody who sort of follows us, you can see why I'm always striving to do better, because
there's always room for improvement there.
Right. So you can see a little bit more shape on there. Now we need our sandpaper to sand it.
The purists, of course, wouldn't use sandpaper.
Right, so we're just shaping body, just like so.
You're going to get dust on the lens, no, dear?
And...
oh, dear me. Oh.
Just like so. And that's Thomas the Woodcarver trying to convince anyone, but he knows about a lens. Right. We got the eye, and I think, yeah, I'm gonna do a full stop and then jump out the way, and it's all yours.
I'm only going to shellac the eagle, alright?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm only going to shellac the actual part that we can see, just to give everybody a better idea of
what the
all the
finish.
mistakes you've made, alright?
Right, so if we go in, I'm going to go in a little bit deeper, just in. Hopefully, this is giving you an idea, you know, of how you can go about carving something like this in a relief style. There's always something you can do differently, there's always something you can do to improve it, but hopefully that gives you a fair idea of what we're doing.
Okay, shellacking?
Yeah, I think that'll be great. So, yeah, so you'll just see that colour, that golden colour starts to come out. And the shellac, that's why we use it. It brings out the character of the wood, it brings out the colour in the wood, but it brings out the carving as well. He's put a big hair from the brush on it. There we are. There you go. Okay. So yeah, just to give you a sort of rough idea for anybody interested in having a go at carving an eagle. That's a method that we use. That's how we do it on a Lovespoon. You can apply the same method to hand carving all sorts of different things, from things like, you know, as Dad mentioned, different animals, things like the robin, and
Could you possibly
all
turn
sorts
the
of stuff like that.
eagle round so they can see it?
Yeah, we'll turn that
up.
around in the vise so you can see. There we are. That's where we've got to.
Tilt it that way a little bit, I think.
There's basically the that is sort of where we've got to. I would look at that. Possibly we would bring this back, wing back a little bit further, that sort of thing. But by and large, that's not a million miles away from where we want it. Thank you all again for watching. Hopefully that is useful. Get any of those comments in, any ideas, anything that you're working on. If you need any help, let us know, and we do our best to help you in anything you need. Well, thanks again for watching, and we'll be back again soon.